Just
Yes,
what
it
it
is.
is.
It's already on.
Okay.
Okay, call the meeting to order, we'll do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I think I sent everybody's here, okay. I think I sent everybody the September stuff electronically. I didn't get the, and Ken provided everything electronically from the school board side.
Yeah, I'm not printing all that out,
Okay.
and I can't read it because I can't download it on my Kindle without
And I
that.
have, well, right, and I have that here.
I looked at his.
Okay, and then tonight is through October. I was not able to get up here during the week to get that, so that's what Bonnie passed out to everybody. So I don't think we necessarily need to take the, look at the September stuff necessarily at the moment. Makes me mad I can't find that.
You and me, I'm working on tomorrow's system,
So we'll start right in with through the October,
Year to date.
year date, thank you. Would it technically be October though, even though it's the middle of October, so it's really September, so.
End of
it's not-
September, yes.
Yeah, okay. So where should we be at percentage wise, Joe?
We should be at 86. Yeah. 86, 87, no, 68, 87. And we should be at 76, 92.
Oh,
We're at
okay, so
68.
76,
We're
90.
8.05 below.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
You said 76.92?
Yes, that's what he said. At least that's what I heard.
Excuse me?
She goes, did you say 76, 92? And I said, yes, that's what I heard.
She don't put on top of
I'm
yours,
very
but right
busy.
here on mine, she gives me the 76,
Yeah.
90, that's where we should be.
Right,
And if you look at the at very end of the last page 8, that's where we're exactly at,
right, okay.
through September.
So if anybody wants to peruse that to see where we're at, I apologize, I would have liked to have gotten this out sooner versus later, so.
First page.
Yeah.
4140-46, new voting machine.
No, no voting machine,
Thank
it
you.
just updates the
Got
old
the
one.
updates.
Okay,
It's all
Every
updates,
election, you get a new update.
okay.
and we don't control the expense of it.
Okay.
We just pay the bill.
What are the resource materials? Would that be like these books and stuff?
I don't know, Joe, do you know, first page, resource materials, that would come under the executive, so I would imagine that's, it's like third way down. It's like 350%. Do you know?
No idea. On the first page, no one's gonna brought it up, but under the, computers report, okay, that's $4,500 over. Remember we entered that new agreement with new people, we got rid of, yeah. But on the second page, you'll see there's another, computer software for $2448. That actually could be applied to that $44,000, so that won't be bad.
Oh, okay.
That will offset that some.
actually have two officers riding around with us. I've seen that a lot lately, we used to see that.
Officers on duty
Yeah.
during the day?
Yeah.
Most generally every day. Yes. That's fine, me too. And on page 2, on the government municipal building repairs. $7,400 remaining, we don't plan on spending that out of the, all that money with the town, there's nothing to do with the town hall now at all. On page 3, it's
Page
4194-4, repairs Old Town Hall and the municipal building, whatever. Those will offset too, and the remaining will go towards that, the repairs that was done.
Yeah.
That was over. So,
4194 dash what?
we got two of them, we got 40 and 41.
41.
Okay,
It's on the bottom of the set.
yeah, I see that.
Old Town Hall, it shows that we're in the
Right.
hole. Okay, I think that was just a misapplied payment or something.
Yeah.
Okay, it should have went to that repair, that overall whole job over there, so. But the municipal building itself, which is this one, okay,
Mhm.
other than having the furnace cleaning, there's not much to do. So that money will kind of offset any overages on the other part of it, so.
Uh, 4193, this is page 2.
Page 2.
4193-19, newspaper notifications.
Yeah, that would be for anybody that advertised for help and that sort of thing.
Stephen, is that mandatory? Well,
we-
especially
no,
is that
abutters list, we
mandatory?
have
Right, I
to
was
know
gonna say,
about
that
the
stuff
abutters
is,
list.
yeah, mandatory, that's
it's
what I
already
was gonna say,
associated.
that type of.
Yeah.
Right.
But anything
I
used,
think you have to-
newspaper.
Because it has to be posted two
Yes.
places.
Yes. Was that for like abatements? Cause in August it was at 190%. Yeah, I think it's anything to do with like if they're going to do any, yeah, like I think you were saying that's a high jump since August. Right, but I don't know if part of it might have been like they did some,
Avatar, basically, they, under contract, they will do assessing, and this year's the whole town.
yeah.
Okay, everybody knows that the values went up on their homes, okay. But if anybody disputes that, and Avatar comes back, we go back and we look at it, they dispute it, whatever, and they have to generate a report to the selectmen, say, yes, we, you know, you should give them back a little bit, we overestimated, or no, we're sticking by our guns, this is what it is,
Yeah.
but they charge us for that. So everybody who calls, we have to pay above and beyond. So,
That's on the new, you're still talking about the newspaper notice, oh, okay, that's what she's,
Oh, I'm
still on the newspaper notice. So I don't know if that has, is that right?
That's
Yeah,
ZBA.
okay.
Are you looking at ZBA or?
The newspaper notice is, yeah, ZBA.
Well,
So
that's
that's,
not- that has nothing to do with assessing.
no, but it would have to do with like if they were doing any type of, I'm gonna. Someone's
Public
doing,
hearing.
right, public hearing has to be,
But they don't have to post it in the newspaper.
yeah, so I don't know.
That's, and I told them that before, all they gotta do is post it in 2 places. If they post it on our webpage, that covers the newspaper, and that doesn't cost anything.
So I guess the question is this all?
Why are they doing
Is
it?
this all newspaper or?
Yeah,
I mean,
What is required to be put in a newspaper?
well, I don't think,
nothing anymore,
right, you have to just, as long as you post it in 2 places. to
unless
other-
it's property.
Well, right,
Property has to be posted, right?
Property,
Yeah.
so that, like,
We
and
can
I'm
tell
just
website,
saying,
and-
I was gonna say, so when you had that property up for, the town was selling that property, did something have to go in the paper for that?
Yeah.
Like the town was,
The law requires that, but they don't,
Okay.
And we also put it on the website
right,
as well.
but now they don't, the DRA does not ask you to post in the newspaper anymore for
Well, but they
public
had-
hearings.
and I know that they just had that, they had like 10 pieces or 5 to 7 pieces of property that the town was looking
Yep.
to sell, and they sold like 2 pieces, I think, in September. I think, I would guess that maybe that's probably some of that.
What did we have for, tonnage for the big this year?
Actually, we don't have the numbers, but the guy, gentleman from Waste Management coming to our next Selectmen's meeting,
Peach,
They
that
put-
should help.
Pete Lasserpel, to clarify some issues that we've had again this year.
We've had some issues lately.
No, that's the whole idea, I mean, is to have him come over and clarify and clear the air, and basically, we did have an email sent to him prior to this bulk pickup. Make sure you tell your drivers what the program is that you have agreed to with the town of Middleton, so we're on the same page, and I don't, that if it translated or not, because, you know, some stuff didn't get picked up, but if you go on the website, it's very, very clear what you can do, what you can't do.
But aside from that, for regular garbage pickup, like my neighbor last week had 2 cans out, they dumped one, knocked the other one over and left it, the whole handful.
Just regular garbage.
Just regular garbage for a regular pickup day.
So you need to get,
And there was like 3 people I heard that happened to, that they just skipped them completely, or only took part of their stuff. And it's regular household garbage.
well,
So-
I don't know what year we're into, we had a 5-year contract, I think this is year 3 or approaching year 4, you know, and no matter who we sign with, they all go to Waste Management, so, you know, you're not gonna get much of a
Yeah.
deal anywhere, so, but
Okay,
customer
so,
service may be better.
so, the only other one I have is the last page, and I know I think we've gone over this before, and I need to retain better. The, capital reserve fund, the highway building, we spent over, and that's because it's only $10,000 a year to date, but it's been cumulative, right? Not misunderstanding that correct, correctly.
Okay.
So it's 10,000 says year-to-date budgeted, but we've spent 55, but that's because it's only 10.
Basically, that was the job that we entered, David, I'll get the land prepped
Yeah,
for future buildings, and that was that contract.
right,
So, right now, where we stand with that is, they've had a problem down there on the groundwork. When they first started, the cistern and the runoff ponds near the front to the left of the driveway are too big. They're encroaching on somebody else's property to our north, so they gotta come back in and redo all that, and, we have, the survey company watching them and going through it to make sure it's done right, the proper way, and there's gonna be no cost. We're holding back a $30,000 check until it's done right.
right, but I
But-
mean, just my question is we've spent 55, but we've only 10, so
Because I think some of that,
there was
You can't show a negative figure in the capital reserve fund, is what it comes down to. You can't spend more than's in the reserve.
and we didn't.
I guess my question is there's money built up in there, it's just only this year we've only put
Right.
10,000 in it, so
Yeah.
that's what I just needed to understand, so. Oh, please let me know.
Ambulance phone is Bruce.
Huh?
The ambulance phone is Bruce.
That was the only other question I had, I don't know if anybody else has any questions. Look at the deposits, I don't know if there's any questions regarding those.
Do we have a lot more police calls? I noticed that the police part-time line is at 105%.
Because basically, early this spring, the chief is a actual officer that's supposed to go on patrol as well. But we had a shoulder surgery and stuff like that, he couldn't go out because he's on night duty or no duty. They had to fill that spot, so they took it out of the part-time budget. But overall, at this point right now, it doesn't show on here, but the police department right now is below budget, I think 9%. So, even with that going on, by the end of the year, they're hoping that will balance out because they're not using much overtime, so.
Why isn't the capital reserve fund showing the total amount that's in there instead of just 10 grand?
Well, it just says the year-to-date budget.
Year-to-date should include everything.
I
Because
mean,
according to December, there's $127,000 in that account.
But this is only showing what was budgeted by the taxpayers at the vote.
Okay, okay.
Every year, so that, every year we put the $10,000, and we have that
Okay.
amount sitting there, so we
Okay,
spend out of that, so. That's why it shows like that. If it showed that number you just said,
yeah,
okay, that 54.
Right,
no,
then it would
we-
it would
be-
show a positive balance, right.
Right.
Bank service charges. We had to pay $25, that wasn't budgeted.
This check bounced.
Basically what it was. And back during October, on the bulk pickup, we actually was the recipient of a counterfeit $20 bill.
Right, they showed me that.
To buy stickers?
Huh? Somebody come in and bought some stickers and used a $20 bill, and it was
Counterfeit.
apparently, and I guess when you put the label, it's pretty obvious it's counterfeit. But the ladies all now have those marker pins, and every bill will be checked. So,
So if they come in here, can I use your copier?
There you go.
Ink scissors?
Yeah, really? No.
Actually,
You
you
wanna make it a
fry the
little
board,
warm.
I'm sorry?
you fry the board on a copier, you put money on it.
Let's try it.
The new stuff with all, yeah.
so if you had that's a few thousand in your pocket, you try it, and you get a new machine. That's what happens.
Someone thought that one through.
Smart.
That and the, what do you call it, not just your pen, like the ultraviolet.
Multiple copies of this stuff, so. So we did, we go with that?
I know we got a new AC officer.
ACO, yeah.
I know we brought this up, I think, a year ago, Roxanne did, like, when we go through like police guys with their uniforms. Is this something we can get back if they don't make it like a month?
Yeah, I don't see why we can't get stuff back. All the police officers and stuff like that, and she carries a badge, all that stuff has to be turned back in.
Oh, okay.
Yes, absolutely. And police officers are not allowed to keep uniforms, anything, unless they actually purchase it themselves. Some will buy an extra badge to carry, you know, they pay for that.
I thought they'd just be their uniform, just not any patches.
We take back everything. The spring like that, help to clean out that little shed out there, you won't believe the amount of stuff that's in there, so.
At least you got your Halloween costume.
Hey, Joe, on the, we have to lay ahead on the deposits or whatever, so we have sale of municipal properties. We have negative 28,000 in there. This should be here. Page 205, that's what it says at the bottom. Sale of municipal property,
Okay.
minus 28,180, I just don't know why that would be a negative.
Well, if you look on the page 2, it shows 4611. Okay. So, I think it's probably just a, if we get a credit bid, then. We had one of those pieces of property that we sold. The people wanted it, and after they just, won the bid on it, they decided they didn't want it.
Oh,
So they gave us a check, so we had to give it back.
oh, so that might
Oh,
be it
that's
then.
right.
That was over the,
That's not
We
it.
were talking about that the other
Can't
day.
keep it, as much as we want it, we can't keep it.
Oh, is that the one down on the way? Yeah. Those are only, how's the only questions?
I like the building permits on page 4 or 5. Just the 1 month, no, this is year to date, 13. No, building permits wouldn't be anything, but, you know, that's one activity. So,
which page is that?
that was the same thing,
This one
205.
here.
If you look at the second page of it,
Got that, right. According to John Ramone, I paid his salary this year. He was quite proud about that. Oh, let's see.
it's not bad, 13 of them. I mean, this goes to show that town is,
Let's see,
growing.
I see 1,500.
13,
Oh,
number,
over here. Oh,
13 is
number
the
total.
number,
Oh, okay,
the,
all right, that's all right.
not the money, but the
Yeah,
number of,
okay.
shows you Middleton is doing
And
stuff.
down the bottom, the police detail income, $111,000.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Chief hunting license
Yeah, 200 fish licenses.
and dog.
Okay.
I had a question on, sorry, I'm
No,
going back.
that's all right, no, that's
On page 6, under projects, in August it was 8,900 and change, and now it's 21. Should we have a good project? I'm sorry, 26.
yeah. Yeah, what is in that line?
Page 6,
Yeah, the last page of last
Under,
page.
it's number 4900-39.
It's on the last page, so. Yeah, I wonder what's, I mean, we sure we probably asked before, just what goes in that line, what falls in that project line.
I think. Okay, that would be, the only project we have going is down here at the highway garage. So, we had $40,000, and so far we've expended the 26. And I think there's 2 more bills in there. One just got approved, but we're holding back, like I said, 30,000 until they fix it out down there correctly. And some of the thing is, they said maybe not till next spring, well, then you'll get your $30,000 next spring.
So would that be, what would the capital reserve fund be?
I don't think that's it. I think projects, this is, I think, the kitchen for the old town hall. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, 'cause that
Yeah,
was
didn't they
40,000
take
too.
40,000?
That was
Yeah,
40,000, because it's kinda weird, because we still.
Because I know you
The
would,
numbers.
I think, I remember John, Mullen said
Okay, yeah,
that
that's
you're
so-
only, you're only
yes.
at like 26, you're only.
Right, so 26, and I know I just signed a check for $8,000 for the carpenter, that we'll go into that, so
Yeah.
now we're at 34, say 35,
Yeah.
so we're getting pretty
Okay.
close to it,
That's
so.
what, that's the old town hall kitchen.
All right, that's right, thank you.
No, that's,
How are the towers doing?
They've done test borings down there already, so they have to have people who do, they find some bones, archaeologists, stuff like that on site while they do it. Seriously. They have to, every site they go to, they have to have an archaeologist on site while
So the
they,
cemetery, is it?
you never know what you might find and stuff like that, so.
I bet one day.
I mean, they can find maybe some old arrowheads like that, could be an ancient Indian burial ground, or who knows, but maybe some, they live there. Done.
So what did you find out it is a cemetery?
Huh?
What did
Then
you
they
find
just
out it is a cemetery? Does it, did they just have to,
Don't have any clue what they have to do. No idea.
Oh, when they went into the
Look into, look into
Move those,
Lowe's,
yeah.
look into Lowe's down in Rochester.
yeah, I know, across the street, but those graves were moved,
There are a lot of places they,
depending on what kind of cemetery this is.
Okay. Are we good? Everything clear? We can move over to the school. And there's a lot of stuff in the school. A lot of stuff.
One thing that was an outstanding question, didn't get for you was, if I understood the committee right, they wanted to know what the expenses were by vehicle. And I got some information, but it was not by vehicle. I think you guys had asked that.
Yeah.
Yes, in August.
That's still pending.
Why did we start the school year with Governor Wentworth bus?
What's that question?
We had it most of the week, the first week of school.
I don't know, you want me to ask?
Yeah, I'm curious, I mean, we had all summer fixed cars if they had something wrong.
Well, usually I
so-
think it's drivers. At least I
It
think
was
that's.
our bus driver driving
Oh,
it.
okay. Oh,
So
I
we
don't
were
know
just
that.
borrowing their bus. I'm just curious why we started the year with theirs.
So Ken, help me out here with this, so, I got a bunch of stuff here. So we have a general fund, so we have that, I have that through 9:30. And then there's the Middleton, there's ones that say the Middleton at the top. And
sent,
So the 8/31, so,
you should have the month of July,
yeah,
the month of August,
yeah.
and the month of September.
I have, well, for the general fund, I have the month of September, and I may not have printed it out, because like I said, I was trying to print everything out. But I have the general, so I have the general fund, then I have the one that says, at the top says Middleton, I have one for August and July. I don't see one for September. That might be.
That's the September one's the only one I brought,
That's
so we
okay.
could copy it.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because I don't have the September one. No, I just have the general fund September one.
Well, what do you looking for?
Well, no, then there's the one at the top that says Middleton, so I don't know what the.
I think they come out differently, there's been I think they just printed out differently,
Okay, all right, just, okay.
that's
So
the way
my,
it's labeled.
all right. So then that's that.
Because that's what I have.
Do you want copies of those?
These are the ones that came through the email?
Yeah, I didn't print mine.
Okay, well, I have it,
Do you have an extra pen?
yeah, I do, well, somebody else can, you wanna throw a couple copies?
I don't know how to make it double-sided. Thick paper.
I've got single-sided here.
Right,
Because I just
actually,
threw it on
if
the-
you
I just
want,
threw it on
I
the
mean, as I
computer.
said, if you want, you can, here, go ahead and take that, I'll look, go ahead, you guys, take that, I'll look on. Oh, okay.
That's an extra copy,
Bring it over here.
single sided.
We can
Share.
We can share.
Yeah.
You got a copy from you, I'm gonna share this one.
Is actually
Oh,
that's the
thank you.
DOE 25 actually.
That's, yeah, so
That's
that's,
something different.
this is what that's what got filed with the
Because I was
state,
looking, I
correct?
basically, I said I looked
What do we
over.
have?
So not that, that's
So-
not what we're looking at, we're looking at what they have right there. So can you just copy
So it's
that?
back, so the DOE 25 was something I talked about some months ago about the end of the year.
Right, that's what got filed with the DRA?
So you get the MS 25 and you get the DOE 25.
Yeah.
The MS 25 is a summarized version, the DOE 25 is the broken out one that goes to the Department of Education.
Right,
So
okay.
that's
And
end of
that's-
last fiscal year.
And this is
June
what we
30th.
spent for last year,
Correct.
so. Okay. So actually, if we could get maybe 2 copies of that, because.
This,
Yeah. If you didn't mind. So I got.
You did, Jess? New stuff.
Yeah, let me see.
One step at a time on this. You know what I'm saying?
So this, July and August, what we're gonna look at is September. And you can have those, cause I have, cause I have a bunch of them.
That you guys are
I might have an extra, you never know.
Yeah.
Of one of them.
compared to. Oh, I'm sorry, don't look at the fact that I thought it was what.
Color coded or something.
Hey, Joe, I have a question while we're waiting.
Well, turns over.
I know that you talked about, John Mullins talked about at one of the board of selectmen's meeting, putting a warrant article together for a new highway building. Do we know, I guess, and I know that that's supposed to be offset by the revenues that come in from the cell tower, is not supposed to have any impact to the taxpayer, correct? But do we know how much income that cell tower is gonna generate?
At this point right now, it's approximately $4,500 a month.
Right, and that would be enough to cover.
Well, it depends what kind of a deal you get
Yeah.
to finance the building.
Right, okay, I was just
I mean,
asking that.
just for, everybody knows this stuff is expensive, so I'm just gonna use some rough numbers, this is not the numbers, because we haven't got anybody to give us any type of indication what's the cost to do a building down there yet. We put that up, now get some feelers of approximate cost. So say it's gonna be a $1.8 million project. We spent $200,000 down here already, because part of that project, that was included doing all the dirt work and all that stuff. That's it being done now. so you can take that off, so say we spent 200,000, that's 1.6 million.
Mhm.
Okay. Right now in the fund balance, we have, with all this sales of property and stuff like that, and a lot of people who have paid a lot of back taxes this year, our fund balance is pretty healthy, it's over $1 million. We only like to sit on like $600,000 a year, all the time. The school payment is on average $248,000 a month, every month. Then we have to pay, operate the town, payroll, expenses, all that sort of thing, okay? So, basically, if we keep right around $500,000 to $600,000 a month in there, we'll never have to borrow a can, tax anticipation note, okay? So, that gives us how much? We'll say $500,000, if we say 600, that's like 1.1 million, I think it's right around that. So out of that 1.1, that $500,000, there's no reason why we can't do something to help, maybe give a little bit of tax relief to the taxpayers.
Yeah.
And on top of it, maybe leave enough there to use as a down payment that we go to the bank profile. And they've already told us a couple of years ago that this is a small project, they would have no problem helping us with it when we decide to do so. That could go towards a down payment and get a loan. I'd rather get a loan, maybe interest could be a little bit higher on it, but that allows us to go ahead, and if we ever get some money, grant money, to help offset some of that, that could be paying down that debt earlier. Whereas you got a bond, you pay for it regardless. I mean, there's no reason to pay it off early, because you pay the same amount of interest regardless. There's no reason for it. So, bond's a little cheaper, but there's no incentive to pay it off early, whereas if we got a second cell tower, it's not designated to pay off that thing, we could use that money as well to double down the payments, pay them off earlier.
Right, so I guess so, I'll finish the thought of all this. So the cell tower that's going down here,
Mhm.
the money was earmarked to go towards the highway department.
Right.
The cell tower that they're talking about putting over in Tanglewood is
It's
not
not.
earmarked for anything
Nope.
currently.
And the one up the pit in New Durham is not earmarked.
And is there anything has any been progress made with that one up there at all?
No, we went to the first one in
Right,
first.
okay, I was just curious.
The tower company is very well aware that there's
Oh,
one up there too.
It's just,
okay,
that one
that-
never really gets spoke about.
No,
in
because
that-
it's kinda like those things like that, we just get the first one in first,
Right.
start collecting, and then go that route, and we can earmark it. I mean, I would
Okay.
love to see that happen. So-
Okay, no, I was just curious.
But that's the proposal, what we're thinking about doing, it's not 100% for sure at this point,
Yeah, I just am my only concern is do we know we're definitely gonna get that revenue and we commit
Well,
to
we're not gonna
something
do
else.
nothing until we know until we get the first payment on it,
Yeah,
we can't, but we get until March, so
yeah.
they're still claiming it's gonna be up before the end of the year.
I know, yeah, that's what
That's what they're
they're
claiming, so, good luck with that, that's what they can do, great. So that means probably January 1st, we start getting our first payment in, okay? Now we know we have it as revenue coming in,
Mhm.
then now we can go to the next phase as necessary.
So actually, I'm gonna ask you, Ken, do you think it would be better to go through this, what is it called, the MS 25 first for last year, and then to start with the September, or it doesn't matter? Whatever, I mean, just,
I wasn't prepared to go through it.
okay, all right, no, that's fine, then that's fine, so we'll just
What
go,
would be the benefit to go through last year's budget?
right, and that's true,
I think
other than
the
get ready
purpose
for
of
next
that
year.
was to kind of
just
show
lay
you
the
what the end
foundation.
result is of
Okay.
the year, so you
I'm fine with
get
that,
a better, I think.
I'm fine
I think a
with
lot of
that.
people are trying to understand, where the money's going at the end of the year.
Because we've never had this much detail before.
Yeah.
And part of the problem has been, actually, the DOE 25's getting done on time. So, last year was a little late because it actually trailed back into the Farmington days and was quite difficult along with the audits. So this year, it was quite timely and,
Because this year it's quote, all Middleton.
yes.
Okay, so then we'll go right to the September one then. So this is the start of the new year,
So it's the first 3 months.
first 3 months, okay, right, July 1st to the end of September. So, which would put us at supposedly, if you did a percentage, would be 25%, did I do that right? I don't know.
Not necessarily,
See?
no, because there's,
Well, I get it, if it's a one-time thing, then it wouldn't necessarily be that, but if it was something that was consistent through the year, it should be 25, correct? Or unless you do it on a school year. I don't know.
Sort of like
You'd really have
fees
to,
and stuff.
in my opinion, if you're gonna, you can probably establish some sort of gauge, but I think you're gonna have to rely on some head knowledge
Yeah.
to remember where everything's at.
Mhm.
We're not making toy trucks
Right,
or cars at the same rate every day.
right.
This is an educational program, so there's a lot of upfront costs at the beginning of the year, books and supplies, et cetera, cleaning materials, all those things are small items. The consistent item that we have that makes up the majority of the budget is salaries,
Mhm.
health insurance, things like that. Those are the things that make up about 75% of the budget. That's what's gonna give you a consistent, I think, representation of percent remaining. When you get into all the ancillary stuff, it's gonna jump around.
It's kinda like the fact that, we approve the budget in March, and all of a sudden, there's a lot of, very first, report you get, you see everything 100%,
Right.
one-time expenses, boom, done and over with, so.
Hmm.
Well, this is just the opposite of that. The balance is 100% used.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
opposite of the other one.
Maybe you're on that. Netflix is gonna have to do some improvising.
That's all I'm.
So how much did we have at the end of at the end of the school year last year, when the budget got done at the end of 6:30, what was the,
I think it was roughly 500, if somebody has the, actually I have it, maybe in here. Yay, be careful, the long time since I've done one of these. About 3 years, I kinda wanted to take a step back from them things.
Because doesn't that,
is it the unassigned fund balance? Is that what
What page you want?
that's on page 2 of this, see this, page 2 of the DOE 25?
That's what it would appear to be.
When
I
you
don't
say
think- I don't-
appear,
I don't think it's that high though.
How much?
It
That
says
says
626, it says 626,
yeah,
but my concern with that is that, that may not be accurate, that's not what I
What's the
consider it to
figure
be.
on that?
626,019.
To me, that's a little red flag, I'll ask about.
yeah, theoretically, that gets returned to,
Now, it doesn't get returned, it gets carried forward to this current year. So when they set the tax rate this fall, the amount of money that we approved in March, this value here offsets that fundraising. So the general number is, if we have a budget for, if we're looking to fundraise $3 million out of a $5 million budget, because we have revenues coming in, then we would be the selectmen would give order to the tax collector only to collect,
So it would also,
$22,400,000.
still basically, short version, it does get returned,
Yes.
but in
The
the
offset.
form, in the form of,
Oh, I
That's
prefer to
a
say
lower
it
tax.
offsets the revenue required
Right.
to our revenue. I don't mean to split hairs with you, but the problem has been that people get this theory in their head that the money's returning back to the taxpayer, or the money goes back to, the town treasurer's fund, and it does not. It actually stays in the school district budget.
In their budget.
In the bank account as well, because it,
but what it does is lower the tax.
it
It's
also,
like the money's in your left pocket or right pocket.
Yeah.
The money's still in your hands.
and I might,
The analogy works, sorry.
That works.
so, the reason I'm
Yeah.
splitting hairs.
Oh, I
It's
understand
just
that,
Other people in the past have misconstrued it, and the words,
because that,
the words.
that needed to be explained to, including myself, a while ago, because it's like, where does this go after this?
Well, it's an offset to the
Yes.
new budget.
Yes, and that, am I
Correct.
correct with the wording on
I
that?
consider it an offset.
Right.
Yes.
So instead of saying your school budget's $2.5 million, it's $2 million because it's offset by the $5 million, or $500,000.
So you have to raise and appropriate less money.
Less
than-
money the following year.
Thank you.
Right, the
Okay.
following year. So you are getting relief
Yes.
indirectly,
Yeah, correct.
so.
Yeah. So yeah, so if you could validate what that, if you could find or whatever, just
Yeah, 'cause
email us.
I thought we were around 500, to be honest with you.
I thought it was, but that from according to like what this
I'm not
looks like.
complaining, but
No, I mean, but just so that we're reading this properly, I would think that it would, that number that you, what would be offsetting in the future should show up in here somewhere. It's not blatantly obvious to me, so. So. And is there a time frame of how, when stuff, so there's the money that was for the school project, however many $1 million, now it's $5 million now to build the school. There was still money left over that, is there a time frame as to when that money has to be spent?
I don't believe so. But one thing that I think the SAU is big on is just trying to, they wanna close that book, so it's not something they have to manage.
Right, and I would agree,
The other piece is
there'd be no
that
reason to
The
continue.
bondholder could, you sit there and say, hey, I loaned you the money, get your value for your
Right.
money that we loaned out to you. We'd like to see the capital improvement. Be kinda like going out to, bank is your loan for a car,
Mhm.
and you only spend 10,000 of the $12,000, and they're like, okay, well, where's the other $2,000? Well, we know where it is, there's an accounting for it, it's not going away, but that's the other piece to it. I'm just throwing that out there, I don't know for sure, but.
Yeah, I mean. I
On
think-
the other hand, it might not be the goal to spend it, it might be the goal to, hey, like, we didn't need this. Hey, I got the car for $10,000, here's the two back towards that principal.
Well, that's actually what did occur. We had a $6.5 million project. We luckily hit the bond market perfectly, and we were actually provided a $400,000 premium, and the board elected to buy down the debt, so our loan was down, bond was down to 6.1. We could have taken that money and put, whatever bells and whistles you want on a school, but ultimately we kept the project down to around $162 a square foot for the school building for the project, which this day and age is absolutely unheard of. You're always around $225. So, I think we hit everything, all the stars in alignment, but, so yes, we only had a 5% contingency, we usually have a 10% contingency. But we had monies left over, so right now we're strategically looking at different things that we can do. We put some sidewalks in instead of the gravel-based sidewalk in the back of the school. Just different little pieces that allow us to get some competitive bids, get people looking at things. So right now, we're looking at a generator for building preservation, which has already been put into place. Certain pieces of transfer switches are already in. We have an electric fire pump. We have fairly, good power as far as, being reliable in the area, but to make sure we get good preservation. And we're looking at making sure we have a generator on hand. So transfer switches in, things are roughed in for it, ready to go. Everything's wired for it.
You guys work to get it done already?
What's that?
You work to get it done already?
What do you,
The generator?
is it all done already?
No, but when we were at the last school board meeting, nothing had been done. You guys
No.
worked to get it done already?
No.
It's all done when the school's built.
Oh, okay.
All preparations were put into place
Oh, all right.
as part of the project, but we did
Yeah,
not
it's easier to
have.
wire that stuff then and then change things later on.
Did Adam get that fencing,
They're working on it.
haven't talked to him?
They're working on it.
Yeah,
I think the last meeting, they said
Oh,
they
that's right,
actually,
you were there.
they approved the
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
cool.
approved
It's
it.
approved like that, he's already picked a company he's gonna go with and stuff like that.
He
Came
did?
in like, came in at like 8 or 9,000.
Oh, he went with that one.
So,
Well, actually,
I think they said the first November.
they increased the
might be
height of
starting.
it, so.
Yeah, yeah, well, they gave him 15,000 to play with, so. Wasn't it 15?
I think it's less
I
than
think it was, I think that's what they put in there, said no, do
Yeah.
not exceed 15.
Right.
Okay. Nothing else really sticking out to me, but- Anything else? Anybody got any questions on? So I will throw out there, the training. Tracy, unfortunately, you couldn't make it for the training, but who came, was it the DRK?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanna say DAR because that's.
And I did that for a while.
Well, only because I am a member. So, the DRA came, spoke through some terminology and how things work, and pretty much emphasized the timeline is the big issue. I guess the biggest concern is making sure we hit our deadlines and stuff. And I know Laura had gotten
She gave you an email, right?
yes, I got the email and I printed it out, I thought I did, whatever. And said like what timeline we kinda have to have stuff ready, because in order for her to get it in the system, cause the DRA needs several days. Even though the last date is, say, and I'm gonna throw it in, it's gonna be wrong, whatever, say is February 15th. We have to have it in for like the 13th because they have to process it and get it back and whatnot, so, Laura did send me some dates, but I do know off the top of my head that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, December 5th is going to be when the department heads meet with the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee to go over their budgets for next year. I think that's 3 to whenever, so,
Yeah, we sent you the
15th or
the
15th?
times.
5th,
What day is that fall on?
it's the 5th.
Excuse me?
What date is that fall on?
And I-
3 o'clock?
Everybody or just you?
I think she sent it to me, but I can send it out to everybody, I just wanted to throw that, yeah.
So right now we
That
have
was the
set,
tentative date, I think,
Right.
or whatever.
we
It's a
have,
Wednesday,
we
Jan.
preliminary, we're starting,
Wednesday?
we're working on the budgets right now, get the numbers together for us to purview before we have to sit down with everybody, okay? And that way we say, no, we think you need to treat this a little bit different, whatever, okay? And then when they come to us, there be any last minute decisions that need to be made at that point, go over it, justify your budgets, and at that point, you guys can step in and ask questions as
And
well.
that's the 5th. That's the December 5th, yeah. Because I think she had sent me, and I'll forward it out, I'm sorry I didn't get that, I think she sent it to me last week or whatever. So that, and then she did give me the date, when we need to have stuff in, I think, for the DRA. But I did print off the,
Is that on that
Yeah.
sheet?
Go ahead, read it, that's what she sent you.
It says attached is the schedule that went to all department heads, also below is the schedule I came up with for dates items needed to be in by. Let me know if these dates make sense to you. 2/5, all petitions must be in. Public hearing should be held around 1:30 to have adequate time to get all needed paperwork to be completed. Posting would have to be by the 23rd if we did the 30th, obviously, because we have to do 7 days. If the public hearing's on the 30th, then you would have until 2/12 to get the figures to her, and she could get us the required budget sheets that need to be approved and signed, which you could do on our 2/18 meeting that we would have regularly scheduled, and have them back by the required date of 2/20 for posting on 2/25. And so, and I think there was it must have been an attachment, no, like I said, I'll forward it along,
That was the,
that said the budget
Yes.
meeting was gonna be the
so
December
at 3
fifth, cause
o'clock,
it started with each different department's head,
right,
then
3 o'clock would be public highway,
three
then 3:30, 4 o'clock, whatever would be PD, cause those guys work or whatever, and send
Yeah,
them home early.
so I'll forward this to everybody,
Did she write down her own dates, or did she get the TRD?
she said she got the deal, cause we don't get that, I mean, I didn't have to go out to the website and pull it down. She got something directly mailed to her.
That is right from the DRA.
Right.
Those dates.
So,
If you have a chance to screenshot that and send it,
well, what I was thinking of doing is just, can I send it to BOS?
Hmm?
And then you can just print it out, and that way everybody has it?
Yeah,
Cause
that's
I
fine.
suggest this,
Or you can
I
send
meant to
it-
say something
Or you
before
can send it to me and I can send it to everybody,
I
Ken.
was thinking like right now,
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine, yeah.
cause
give
before
color.
we moved on, I was hoping to.
Yeah.
if-
Oh, so nail down some, yep,
So, the, what I had previous to this, I just went through here, I had the
Yeah.
SB two, cause the school is
yes,
SB two,
two, right,
the town's the traditional,
right.
so I
And
had
so
these,
if everybody didn't know that, we are not consistent between the town and the school, which is fine, but school is SB two, did I say that right? And the town is traditional.
And just to put it out there, the town's traditional, it's always been traditional, and it's been tried to go to SB2, and it's been voted down.
Right.
But, that's not to say if somebody wanted to put a warrant article up there to do that, to have it voted on, it could become a SB2, but you don't have the Saturday meeting where you get to sit there and come in and
No, you
talk about things.
you have the public hearing.
So, that's the only voice you have is a public hearing, and after that, you go to vote.
Right, so traditional is where they have the town meeting and you get to voice your
so it's
opinion.
BOS,
Yes.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head what I had on my list of things, so it was the dates,
Ours is different.
to discuss the
That's
dates
yes,
and maybe
Ken,
Yeah.
he can send it.
by the next-
But yeah, that's
or,
been a few
next
times.
meeting, next month, we can nail down those dates and,
Good.
I just
so
sent it.
we're in a better position than we were this year. I
So-
will
Thank you.
forward the email, I think I got it last week, or we can have, here's my daughter's wedding last week, so it's so it was a little crazy. So, yeah, so I'll send that out, and it was just the same thing that Joe had me read there. It had the attachments in it, and I think it might have had the attachment for when the department heads were gonna meet prior to us all meeting with the board of selectmen, the budget committee, and the department heads. So those preliminary meetings that they have.
So, on the school side, I just sent the SB two as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
So, the important piece is, the budget committee needs to hold a public hearing. And what they have here is, so, the last day to hold at least one budget hearing is January 15th, which is a Tuesday. Obviously, I would not recommend that.
No, right.
And what happens is, just historically, we all know, starting, like, I suspect this meeting right here is gonna be the last kind of calm meeting.
Yeah,
Because you guys all know what's coming, right? So, my recommendation would be, it says in the last day to post the notice of that budget hearing is the 8th, so it's a week before.
yeah.
So, I'd recommend this, there's nothing that says you can't have a public hearing, you know, December 23rd if the committee wanted to, but you'd have to make sure you post it at least 7 days before,
Right.
but it's nice to go 8 days to be extra safe.
Weather.
So,
Get the budget to do it.
the budget, I'm going backwards, and I actually jumped in the middle, going backwards. The school board has the next meeting on the 7th, November 7th.
It might be,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because the 6th is voting.
Yes,
It'll be the
correct, the 7th. And so the finance committee is gonna come forward and make a presentation to the board, for the board to vote on. So that's our timeline right now. So, I don't know how that fits in with everything else, but.
So would they have a budget for us to look at
Potentially, depending
on
if the
the
board
next
accepts
meeting,
it.
which is November? I wanna say 19th, right, that's probably not right.
So it's It's contingent upon final approval by the finance committee and approval by the full board.
November 19th.
So,
So, right, so if they, yeah, so it would be good if we could potentially have something for the 19th, meet the budget meeting for the 19th, to at least get that underway for the school.
okay, so in the event that there was something on the finance committee or the board side, that would give us potentially a window for the following week to address. So I think that would
Yeah.
make sense. So we're hoping this year's gonna go a lot smoother than,
Well,
than
so are
last.
we,
Well, there was a
or at
lot,
least I am,
there was a lot of
you know,
participant change last year.
so,
So I just wanted, I mentioned bringing up the public hearing dates before, so just wanted to get those out. I think it helps to everybody get a copy of all the other stuff.
so potentially, right, so this is just kind of my thought, and anybody jump in, so everything goes according to plan and goes well with the school board on the meeting on the 7th, we could potentially have numbers for the
19th.
November 19th meeting to review and go over and such, so that potentially we could have a public meeting, public hearing for the school board budget in December. I know that's not probably ideal for everybody, but, it is what it is. Have the public hearing in December, get that done and out of the way and be good with that, so then with the next thing is, we would have numbers, I would think fairly soon after the meeting on, December 5th with the Board of Selectmen. I would think we would have those numbers within a week or so, once they vet them out and come up with theirs, so then we can move over to that, so we can move over to
That's
town
really the
numbers.
way, that's really the way it should go, because, you know, the deliberative session, or
Mhm.
AKA meeting, town meeting,
Mhm.
for the deliberative session for the school
Just gonna ask you why.
is in February.
Right.
And that is there's 2 Saturdays available, and so we're the second one, the second Saturday, Governor Wentworth's the first Saturday, so I think that might be the 9th. Let me double check.
February 11th. Oh, you're a Wednesday?
No, it's a Saturday,
Saturday, is it the ninth then?
so that's probably most likely.
It's February 9th is the deliberative session
Oh,
date.
okay, is the deliberative.
So the school board sets the deliberative session date. The public hearing is set by the budget
Budget
committee,
committee, right.
noticed by the budget committee.
Right,
And
okay.
that's the piece I'm gonna
Yeah.
probably harp on someone.
Mhm. No, that's fine, that's fine, I
Is that
think,
before or after?
no, it's, what, the public,
Yeah, the
public
school.
hearing will be before for the
Yeah,
school.
I'm just making sure.
And then it goes to the deliberative
Yeah,
session.
okay,
Is
just
that the
making sure.
last Saturday that you get to hold it, or is there a snow day?
There's no snow day, but there are provisions in statute
Okay,
to address that, even though it says the last day is on the 9th.
all right.
If there's a major snowstorm on the 9th, there are provisions the moderator can do to address that.
Okay.
But the goal has been, unless, you know,
Yeah.
unless we get different from the public, is to have us convene the deliberative session on a Saturday rather
Yeah.
than a weekday.
Right,
So it's been working out well, I think the town has been doing the same on Saturdays, so.
yeah, so I think that, so I mean, if everybody seems to think that's how, I think that's kind of the route we'll go, is hopefully everything goes according to
So
plan.
as far as a public hearing, if
Mhm.
you want to, where you wanna have the public hearing, if you wanna have it at the school,
Mhm.
it's up to the
Oh,
committee.
right,
The sooner we know, the better, so we
Mhm.
can fix that date so nobody else takes it.
oh, right, yeah,
Because that's, local
yeah,
stuff like this is gonna take precedent over any kind of
right,
extracurricular activity at the school.
right. So with that said, someone have a calendar?
Mhm.
So if we were to look at dates in December, what, I'm just gonna throw out, I don't know. So, I'm gonna throw out a date, and everyone's gonna be like, no, we can't do that. Say like, December 17th, which would be our budget committee night. Would that work for,
I don't think it'll work for the budget committee, because you're gonna be just getting all your town stuff at
That's
that
when we'll be
point.
going over the town
Yeah.
department heads.
so
I would-
maybe the week before then. So how about December 11th, that's the second Tuesday, and I don't know, that might be school board. I don't know when the school board
The
meets.
school board
Wednesday.
meeting Wednesdays.
So December 12th, the Wednesday?
I wouldn't be able to attend the hearing,
Okay, the third.
I'd be at my board meeting.
Oh, cause a board meeting for the school board,
Yes.
which is different than the board meeting, the regular.
They meet on Wednesdays.
They don't have to
Said the
be here,
11th.
this is the budget
So-
committee.
So, oh, so you wouldn't necessarily.
I will be at the public hearing.
Right,
Now, board members may show up by chance, that's
Mhm.
not something that,
so, okay, so if we did, so the week of the tenth, which day is probably like, it wouldn't be Tuesday, cause that would be the school board meeting,
No.
correct? No?
Wednesday would be
they
the
meet.
school board.
So actually, the 11th would be a good date? Tentatively?
Yep.
So that means, Bonnie, we need to have that at least posted by December 3rd, because it has to be at least 7 days, but if we do the 3rd, it puts us at 8 days.
Okay.
And we would have it
And
at
where
the,
does it have to be posted here and on the website, right?
Yeah, I think that's fine,
and a nice
and,
thing to do would be do it at the school as well.
right.
Oh,
And you're gonna, are you gonna, I'm sorry, wait a minute, Jen, let me just, you will check to make sure we can get that date at the school, or should I
I
check?
can.
Okay, that would be great.
okay,
And
so
that
if
would,
you message me and let me know, then I'll
yes,
make sure that's okay.
yeah, so if you just confirm that with me, confirm that.
When are we gonna meet to go over their budget?
We're gonna hopefully go over their budget November
Right,
9th,
yeah.
on our next budget meeting in the 19th, November.
So that
Yes,
brings up
Jan.
a good point.
Okay,
If
You
want-
actually have to post that by the 30th of November, because you can't count Sundays or the day of the meeting,
Oh, so, okay, there you go, sorry.
It should be done by when?
the 30th.
November
November.
30th.
So I don't know how often the budget committee meets. I mean, I'm assuming that you're not gonna stay with the
No,
third
right,
Monday of every month, so I'm not, maybe I'm
all right, so
reading you
just-
wrong,
Traditionally, the
Tracy, but
budget committee ends up
I
meeting
think you're
2 or
saying,
3
you
times
might be
a
saying
month.
that
right.
you meet on November 19th, but you don't meet again till the
Yeah,
public hearing.
And
right?
that's what happened last year, was
Okay.
a lot of making meetings on our meeting night.
Which can mean for something.
Well, yeah. We
So
don't want
we,
to
so
leave there
post,
Well,
post.
and or get behind the time.
Let's talk about it now.
12,
Yeah, it's easier to find
12, 11, is that what we said?
Yeah.
Fine. Well, so chances are, so we'll meet on, so we would potentially get a budget from the school board the week after the 11/7, because that's when they're gonna get theirs at their meeting. So we would have it for the 11/19 meeting, and then we would probably at least have, obviously, one more meeting before December 11th. Potentially two, maybe, if we all can't agree. So, I don't know if it's locked or not.
Sorry, it's not mine.
Oh, I don't know if it's locked or not. So, 19th, that's the week of Thanksgiving. So,
No, we can't do it that way.
It is?
yep, yep.
That could be a problem, actually. Oh,
Right.
no, I'm sorry, no, I take it back, you were talking about your date.
So November 19th is our regularly scheduled meeting. But it happens to be the week of Thanksgiving, is that gonna be an issue for people? Last minute?
Well, it's not on Thanksgiving.
No, it's gonna be on Monday,
It's on the Monday.
it's on the Monday, so
I'll
we'll
do
stick with,
16th.
that date.
Yeah.
Huh?
I just made my bid, I'll know on the 16th.
Oh, what else to say, so we'll stick with that date, and then,
Did you get the school one?
the following week,
Did you get the I sent another one.
which is the week of November 26th, the 26th is the selectmen, this Monday, so people be able to meet that week, so like the 27th, 28th, 29th, the 30th,
Of what month?
November, the week after Thanksgiving. So if we did like November, it's Tuesday night, would
I
that,
can't do that Friday. Everything else is-
okay, so like the Tuesday, November 27th? I know you're up in the air.
I know the 16th, yeah.
So.
Could have been for it. Good now.
So let's plan on November 27th at 6:30 here for a meeting for the school board budget, school budget. Go right here now.
Okay, so I'll let you write this down and send them to me, and
Yes, I'll
I'll make sure I have them all right.
I'll make sure
right.
Ken confirm that date for the
December
December
11th.
December 11th. Yep.
Yeah,
And that'd be December 11th, that's 6:30, I'm guessing, or 6, I don't know what does work for everybody, 6:30?
Keep it 6:30.
6:30, okay.
Which one's that?
6, December, they're gonna be all at the same time, so we're gonna stay with our normal 6:30 start time. Okay. And then I'll send you the thing about these other 2 dates, so our regular scheduled meeting would be November 19th.
Yeah.
Then we're looking to have an additional one for November 27th.
I got posting here.
Okay.
And the public
And
hearing.
so the public hearing will be the December 11th with Bonnie posting it on November 30th. Oh, the 20th, whatever date.
We're just gonna make sure it's done
Okay.
ahead of time.
Okay, 29th, whatever.
I'm just gonna say that because town hall isn't open on the Friday. And the 30th is a Friday, so she wouldn't be able to get Laura to post anything on the
Well, it
website.
doesn't matter if I do it before that, right?
No,
No.
no,
Right, no.
no, you can send it to
As
Laura
long as you
now.
do it,
You
Yeah.
can do it on the
by.
27th when we're here, but I'm here.
Yeah, right.
That's what I would do it.
So where do I post it at the school?
I would
If
give it
if
to,
you have I'm assuming you'll have an electronic copy? You're gonna print something out,
I'll
right?
print something out, yeah.
So if you have an electronic copy, it's gonna go on the website. If you email it to me, I'll get it to the
Okay.
Amy Roos at the front desk, and she usually
Okay,
tapes it up on the door inside.
alright, that works.
so this is
That's good to
traditionally.
go for 2 postings.
As long as it's on the website, it covers the newspaper.
And the same goes on the town side of things.
Yep.
The school is another place for
Right, yes.
town meetings as well, to make, it's protected, it's inside, and it's accessible to the public to walk up and see it. The problem,
You will have a newspaper presence too.
Right, sorry, long arm reach.
Did you say about a newspaper?
I printed in the
Yeah.
newspaper.
Yeah, that's right, with you.
So if one
I know I'm being
falls
quiet
down,
over here, but I am here.
No, that's good.
And that one doesn't cost us anything.
I always love the Overwatch position.
So as we're talking about this, let's talk about when we should have the town public hearing. Now, Laura says we should have it around November, yeah, okay, Laura said January 30th, so if we can look at a calendar. So, no, that's fine. So if we had it, I don't know if that gives us enough time. Most of all, not to be 23rd, probably then we would have till
We have next
12.
year.
I think that would be. I think we try to do it this week. I don't know if this makes any sense or not. So I think, in the budget, the 21st. So we use that and potentially.
Is this for?
This is for the town, public hearing. So, with the week of, so we have our regular meeting on the 21st of January. So, would we want to have the public hearing later that week? I know Laura said we wanted, she's suggesting the 30th, but I don't want us to get to a point where at a time, that, really bad timeline. So I would suggest that we do the public hearing the week of the 21st, say the 23rd or the 24th.
Any chance of 22nd?
Okay, 22nd, I'm good with that. So I don't wanna write in your book yet. So if we,
Roxanne's got dates right.
Tracy, can you tell me what my calendar, get your calendar
Send
says?
money to,
And
So-
how long before does that one have to be posted?
7
Same
days.
thing, 7 days.
And, so if we look, you did the count
Oh,
back?
sorry.
No, Janice, did the count back?
You'd have to post it by the 10th.
And that doesn't say when you post the school board, when you can post, put that one at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
I figure
what
I'll
would you
do
say,
them all at once.
the 23rd, 6:30?
and all those postings will be on one piece of paper, correct?
Okay.
As far as, yeah, I couldn't take it.
That's why I asked this question.
Roxanne, was that the
You can
23rd
post
or
both
the
of them at the
22nd?
same time. It's just
22nd.
wanna make sure that you're posting it correct to the town, it's not
Earlier.
gonna be changed.
And
No.
that would be alright, so let's just be
The
clear,
dates
that
will
will
be
be
set.
here,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
the schools will be at the school. So that would give us plenty of time to get numbers,
Excuse me, Gina.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Let's see, I stole that from you, Joe, so I
It's okay.
It's way more of a bar.
You can have it.
Actually, you can post it by the 14th.
I'll do it ahead of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You writing down the dates for me since I've been gone?
Yeah, I'll share,
Okay.
sharing is.
Nice
caring.
email, Pete.
Yeah, I will share it with
Tim's
you.
got them for me.
And then somebody will be like, no, Roxanne, that date is wrong, and be like, oh, man, a lot being thrown at me.
What's the location?
So, alright, so then our regular January meeting is the 21st, thank you.
Well, public hearing on the 22nd, is that still gonna be 6:30?
Yes, we'll stick with the same, that just makes it easy and consistent for everybody, I think. And that would be here though versus at the school, where the school
Right.
will be at the school. So I'm guessing we will have another meeting in here between, the December meeting and.
Do you wanna hold a public hearing here, or at the old town
Oh,
hall?
at the old town,
Yeah.
hall, sorry. Well, we have that availability to us now, so.
Just make sure the locations are on, because some people got hurt, mess it up.
Yeah,
Oh,
right?
Thank you for getting that. It was like a little bit delayed.
Yeah, I caught that.
I was in the right place.
I portrayed
Well,
I
that.
stopped here first.
I didn't hear until the day after.
So if we look at December for another meeting, so what did I say, the regular meeting in December is the
17.
17th, so. I know that's not gonna like that, so it's either gonna be, I'm meeting again that week, or the week after.
The week after is Christmas.
I know, well, that's what I'm saying, so the end of that week, or we go into the beginning of January, which is fine with me, if you want to meet, if people wanna meet like the first week of January. I don't know what's good for everybody,
Either the end of December or beginning of January.
so that's
We
fine,
have a New
so
Year's Eve
like,
party.
so if we did like Wednesday, January 2nd? That's probably not gonna be great for me, but that's about what
You're pushing it
What do you
on
mean by
now.
that?
Meaning, my work, we report quarterly now instead of monthly, so quarterly now is like 3 times as much work at the end of each quarter. But, yeah, so we'll go with 2-2 at 6:30, tentatively for the moment?
1-2?
Yep.
Yeah, 1-2, 1-2. And that would be here at 6:30. And I'll send this all out later tonight, probably around 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I won't get it till tomorrow.
That's all right, that's all right. That's just when I get in my prime, what are you talking about?
It's just an extra meeting.
Yes, that's gonna be so we can go do more with, the town budget. And, I mean, at that point in time, we won't have any warrant articles, which we don't.
Right.
We can just, all knows, we can just say we either support it or don't support it, we don't get to say, change the figures on those. My understanding is correct. Is that correct, Jen?
Yep.
Okay. That's a lot. I'm trying to think of what else I might have had on this, so it was dates, pretty much on the dates. I thought you were raising your hand, Joan. Anybody got anything else? Nothing, Dan? Nothing?
Good, good.
We got enough.
You didn't put any dates in the last week of the year, did you?
No,
Okay.
yes, that we would, looking at that, or the first week of January, we went with the first week of the consensus at the table was the first week of January, which is fine.
I won't be around the last week.
Really, what's that supposed to be? No. So are we good with everything? Anybody got any more
I don't know, the
questions,
sound
comments?
platform, I guess.
Anybody wanna make
Why
a,
not? Everybody
I
else seems to be
make a
doing it.
motion to adjourn.
Except for airlines.
Second.
Second,
Third,
so
fourth,
we'll
fifth.
adjourn,
Aye.
all those in favor?
Aye.
So we're adjourning
on the
at
law, from doing the law enforcement thing,
49, and I
I'll deal
can
with
call the.
Val
meeting
and
order.
them before 1.
It's,
6:35.
6:35, thank you, Joe.
Stoners don't wanna fight you.
So do we shut us off? Please, sir?
Hang on a second, I'll have to.
He did that.
Last phrase.